Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Flight Lieutenant Gregory Young. We warmly welcome the family of Private William Henry Oakley, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Return and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Club Association. We welcome members who are watching the ceremony broadcast across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Thank you. You may be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private William Henry Oakley. William Oakley was born on the 1st of October 1894 in Waratah, Tasmania, one of 12 children born to carpenter Benjamin Oakley and his wife Maria. He attended Waratah State School and later Devonport State School, and served in the Senior Cadets and Citizens Forces in youth. Apart from being charged with stealing fish from a boat at Port Sorrel in 1914, William appears to have led a quiet and simple life. When the war broke out, he was working as a mechanic in West Devonport. William Oakley enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 20th of August 1914, among the first in Devonport to volunteer. He was assigned to the newly raised 12th Battalion, consisting mostly of Tasmanian recruits, and after 2 months of training in Australia, he embarked from Hobart on board the troopship Geelong. Private Oakley arrived in Egypt in December 1914, received further training and took in the sights and sounds of Egypt. In March 1915, plans to attack the Turkish positions in the Dardanelles were put into motion. Oakley's battalion was anchored off the Greek island of Lemnos for about a week as troops and supplies were gathered and plans for the attack were consolidated. At dawn on the morning of the 25th of April 1915, Australian and New Zealand units began landing in rowing boats at Anzac Cove. Private Oakley's battalion was among the first to reach the shores of Gallipoli. Private Jack Butterworth was with the 7th Battalion during the landing, after later describing his experiences in a letter home. The Turks put a deadly fire on us with artillery and machine guns and rifle fire from the trenches on the hills. Dozens of our men were killed in the boats and on the beach. I will never forget those days under fire. A fellow was dodging bullets and shrapnel all the time. A man's heart has to be hard to see his comrades shot dead beside him. Australian units suffered more than 2,000 casualties during the landing at Gallipoli on the 25th of April 1915. Among them was Private William Oakley, who was declared missing in action. His family wrote letters to base records in Melbourne, seeking information about the young private's fate. In November 1915, more than 6 months after Private Oakley had gone ashore, his father wrote, "If you will kindly forward any news concerning him that is available, we would feel very grateful to you." Having been unable to obtain any news of his whereabouts since April, his disappearance has caused much anxiety. In the absence of any news, a court of inquiry determined that Private William Oakley was killed in action during the Gallipoli landing on the 25th of April 1915. His final resting place was never located. In 1923, his family posted an in memoriam notice in the local newspaper, which read, "Away in far-off Gallipoli, where dark sea waters flow, there in some lonely valley, our noble Willie lies. He heard the call to duty, his heart was brave and true. He died to save his loved ones from the remorseless foe." William Oakley was 20 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour to my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private William Henry Oakley, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.